What if I told you that just one incredibly simple habit, taking less than a minute every morning, could help you regain the confidence and erections you thought were gone for good? Sounds hard to believe, right? But a major study from Harvard University found that over 70% of erectile dysfunction cases in men over 50 aren't actually due to low testosterone, as many fear. Instead, it's because of insufficient blood flow to the erectile tissue in the penis. Even more surprising? That blockage often begins with tiny, seemingly harmless morning habits, things most men never even think about. They repeat them day after day, completely unaware they're sabotaging the very blood flow they need most. I'm Dr. Cole, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping men over 60 reclaim their confidence, desire, and natural erections. Over the years, I've watched thousands of men spend big money on pills or hormone injections without realizing that just one small action, done in the morning right after waking, could change everything. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple 1-minute morning habit that can reignite desire, improve circulation, and bring back the strength you deserve. And at the end of this video, I'll share a little-known tip to take your results even further, a trick that's helped many men regain their confidence in as little as 7 days of changing their routine. But first, before we dive in, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. I want to start by being completely honest. A lot of men in their 50s and 60s walk into my office with that unmistakable sadness on their face. They say, "Doc, I guess I'm just old. I don't have any desire anymore. I can't get hard like I used to." And they say it as if it's some kind of fate they just have to accept. But I always look them right in the eye and tell them, no, it's not necessarily your age. Most of the time, it's your blood flow. Do you know why a 20-year-old can get an erection just from a stray thought, while a 65-year-old, no matter how much he loves his wife, finds himself silent? It's all about circulation. An erection isn't magic. It's a feat of your vascular system. When you're aroused, tiny arteries in your penis, so small you can barely imagine, have to open up, letting blood rush in and make you firm. But when those blood vessels narrow, harden, or lose their flexibility, blood can't get in, and the result is frustration, anger, embarrassment. A lot of men think this is just aging, but the truth is, it's something called endothelial dysfunction. The endothelium is a thin, silky lining inside your blood vessels. When you're young and healthy, it releases an incredibly important substance, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and open wide, like castle gates, so blood can rush in to feed not just your heart and brain, but your penis too. But if you've smoked, eaten fried foods, stayed sedentary, lived with stress, or even just gotten dehydrated as you've aged, that endothelium starts to weaken. It doesn't release enough nitric oxide. Your vessel walls stiffen and narrow, and the tiniest vessels in the penis are the first to show signs of trouble. This is exactly why erectile dysfunction is considered an early warning sign of heart disease. The heart and the penis share the same problem, blood vessels. But the vessels in the penis are smaller and more fragile. They break down first and sound the alarm. That's the root cause I want you to really understand before we talk about any pills or other solutions. Because if you don't understand where the real problem lies, everything else you try is just patchwork. But once you do understand, you can rebuild your vitality from the ground up. Stay with me, because next, I'm going to show you the morning mistakes so many men are making. Habits that quietly thicken the blood, constrict the vessels, and slowly strip away their manhood without them even realizing it. You don't want to miss that part. Now you understand that an erection depends on an incredibly delicate network of blood vessels, especially the tiny ones in your pelvis and penis. But here's the sad truth I have to tell so many older patients. It's what you're doing every single morning that's quietly squeezing those blood vessels shut. Let me explain. After a full night's sleep, your body naturally loses water through breathing, sweat, and urine. Your blood is thicker in the morning. Yet, so many men don't drink water when they first wake up. They just get up, rush through a few chores, and pour themselves a steaming cup of strong coffee. Do you know what that does? Caffeine is a vasoconstrictor and a diuretic. it makes you lose even more water. Blood that was already thicker becomes even more sluggish. Those tiny blood vessels, where your endothelium needs to stay supple to release nitric oxide, get pinched and narrowed. And then you wonder, why do I feel so sluggish in the morning? Why don't I have the same desire or firmness I used to? It's simple. The blood meant to fuel your erections is thicker, slower, and too weak to expand those vessels. The second mistake I see all the time is no movement at all. I ask my patients, what do you do in the morning? They tell me, I sit and read the news on my phone, check emails. They think it's harmless, but the truth is, your muscles are your body's natural blood pumps. When you move, stretch, walk around, even just gently, your pelvic floor, legs, and core muscles squeeze the veins, pushing blood back to the heart and jump-starting circulation. But if you just sit there frozen, eyes glued to your screen, you're putting your sympathetic nervous system, your body's get-up-and-go system, straight back to sleep. The sympathetic system is what wakes up your heart, your blood vessels, even your testosterone production. But you're giving it nothing but blue light and depressing news to work with. Another big mistake? Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Look, I'm not telling anyone to quit coffee, I drink it too. But when your stomach is empty, coffee triggers acid release, stimulates the vagus nerve, and, guess what? Causes full-body vasoconstriction. The blood vessels in your penis tighten up too. Instead of starting your day with free-flowing circulation, you've turned it into a squeezed, constricted system. Be honest with yourself. How many mornings do you do exactly that? No water, sitting in your chair or on the edge of the bed, glued to your phone, gulping strong coffee on an empty stomach. And then you're surprised your circulation is poor, your mind is foggy, and your penis just doesn't respond the way it used to. I want you to understand. I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm telling you, so you realize that these seemingly small, harmless habits are actually strangling the blood supply that fuels your vitality. If what I'm sharing resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, just put a 0. Your feedback helps me know how to serve you better. Because if you're willing to change just your mornings, even just 1 minute a day, you can unlock your circulation, restore your endothelium, boost nitric oxide, and even support your testosterone naturally. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you next. Don't miss it. This isn't some vague promise. These are simple, natural steps I've taught to hundreds of patients and watched transform their lives. You deserve to know them, and I'm going to share them in the next section. You already know the morning mistakes that clog your blood vessels, slow your circulation, and sabotage your ability to get or stay hard. Now, I want to share with you the very first step, the simplest, but also one of the most powerful things I tell almost all my patients to start tomorrow morning. Drink 2 glasses of warm water, no ice, no sugar, just warm water. When you drink 2 warm glasses right after waking, you gently, naturally thin your blood. No pills, no procedures, just water. Thinner blood flows more easily, more smoothly. It reduces pressure on your arteries. Your endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels, can finally breathe and start producing nitric oxide again. Science calls this hydraulic preload. Having enough water lets your heart pump more efficiently, lowers your resting heart rate, and improves circulation all the way down to your smallest vessels. Warm, not cold, water also gently activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It calms the stress response. So instead of starting your day flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, both of which constrict blood vessels, you're sending your body a gentle signal. It's safe. Open up. Let blood nourish every cell. I had a 65-year-old patient who was used to jumping out of bed and immediately brewing coffee. When I told him, just try 2 glasses of warm water first, then have your coffee, he laughed and called me a nuisance. But a week later, he confessed, "Doc, this is weird. I'm waking up harder in the mornings. Haven't seen that in years." I smiled and told him, "That's not magic. That's biology working the way it should." This is the first step. It's so simple, there's no excuse not to do it. It costs nothing. It doesn't hurt. But it opens the door to every other change. You can't water your garden if the hose is clogged, and you can't expect strong, reliable erections if your blood is thick and your vessels are tight. In the next section, I'm going to show you the second step, just as simple but incredibly effective, to activate your body's natural pump, pushing blood exactly where it needs to go without any pills or gadgets. Don't miss it. This is how you truly start reclaiming your manhood. After you drink those 2 warm glasses of water to thin your blood, unlock nitric oxide, and prime your circulation, the next essential step is gentle movement for just 2 to 3 minutes. And I want to emphasize this: gentle, but consistent and purposeful. A lot of people think morning exercise means a 30-minute jog or endless push-ups. You don't need that. At 60 or 70, you don't need to exercise harder. You need to exercise smarter. The goal here isn't to burn calories or bulk up. The goal is to activate your body's natural pump, your skeletal and pelvic floor muscles, to get blood flowing everywhere, especially to the pelvic region. When you move, stretch, rotate your joints, walk around the room, breathe deeply, your large muscles contract and relax, squeezing veins and pushing blood back toward the heart. The heart responds by increasing its rate just a bit, pumping blood more forcefully. That doesn't just send blood to your brain, it also sends it down to your pelvis, your prostate, your penis. Most men don't realize erections aren't just about desire, they're a measure of your vascular health. If you don't move, your blood stagnates. Small vessels shrink, lose elasticity. Nitric oxide, a natural vessel relaxer, drops because your body assumes you don't need blood flow there. Worse, sitting too long traps blood in your pelvis like a dammed river, putting pressure on your prostate and bladder, leading to chronic mild inflammation and even increasing your risk of prostate enlargement. 2 or 3 minutes in the morning is your signal to your body. Open those vessels. I need blood nourishing everything. Stretching opens your chest, boosting oxygen. Gentle joint rotations lubricate cartilage. Walking, even just a few dozen steps, activates your entire muscular pump. And when you breathe deeply and slowly, you trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, the one that relaxes you, dilates vessels, and lowers stress hormones like cortisol. I always tell my patients, think of it as your wake-up call for your blood vessels. You don't need fancy gym clothes or expensive equipment. All you need is your body and a 3-minute commitment every morning. And if you're wondering, is it really worth it? Ask yourself this: do you want to start your day with thick, sluggish blood and tight, unresponsive vessels? Or with warm, oxygen-rich blood flowing freely where you need it most? In the next section, I'll share the third step, one that helps lock in these benefits all morning long, fueling your testosterone, your vascular health, and the masculine confidence you absolutely still deserve. Don't miss it. This is how you turn 3 simple morning minutes into a blueprint for revitalizing your vitality, something almost no one talks about openly. If you found this video helpful, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a brother, a husband, any man who needs to hear these honest truths and simple solutions, because your single share might help someone regain the confidence, health, and joy they thought was gone forever. Let's spread the word together. You've had your water to thin your blood. You've moved for 2 to 3 minutes to get blood circulating, especially to your pelvic region. But there's one final step, and honestly, it's the step most men over 60 completely skip. A smart breakfast that keeps your circulation going and nourishes your hormones. A lot of men tell me, "Doc, I don't eat breakfast, I just have coffee." And I have to sigh, because coffee, on an empty stomach, is a strong vasoconstrictor. It makes your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline. That means your blood vessels tighten up, blood pressure rises, and the very blood flow meant for your penis and prostate gets squeezed off right at the start of your day. Worse, some go for the traditional American breakfast: white bread, sugary jam, pastries, instant cereals full of refined sugar. These spike blood sugar, trigger silent inflammation, and damage the endothelium, the thin cell layer lining your blood vessels, responsible for producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, let me remind you, isn't some luxury. It's the biological switch that lets the blood vessels in your penis open wide and fill when you need them to. Without it, even prescription ED meds are meaningless. That's why I always tell my patients, if you really want to reclaim your masculine strength, start with a breakfast that supports your blood vessels and hormones. And it doesn't have to be fancy or complicated. Choose boiled or lightly pan-fried eggs in olive oil. High-quality protein keeps your muscle mass stable, your blood sugar steady, and provides cholesterol, the raw material your body needs to make testosterone. That's right, no cholesterol, no testosterone. Add berries, like strawberries or blueberries. They're loaded with polyphenols and anthocyanins, powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that help your endothelial cells recover and produce more nitric oxide. Think of them as a natural prescription for keeping your penile blood vessels flexible. Plain Greek yogurt, fantastic source of probiotics that reduce systemic inflammation and help balance hormones. Chronic inflammation is a silent killer of both testosterone and nitric oxide production. Pumpkin seeds, walnuts, rich in zinc and omega-3 fatty acids, two nutrients absolutely essential for testosterone production and for keeping your endothelium healthy. Picture this. Instead of starting your day with coffee on an empty stomach or refined sugar that inflames your blood vessels, you're fueling your body with ingredients that naturally boost testosterone, reduce inflammation, and promote nitric oxide production. You're not just eating to fill your belly. You're eating to reclaim the masculine strength you thought was lost. You're eating to nourish your blood vessels, from your heart and brain all the way to the tiniest arteries feeding your penis and prostate. I always tell my patients, don't think of breakfast as just your first meal of the day. See it as a prescription you write for yourself to preserve your manhood. I still remember John, 70 years old, a retired construction engineer, sitting across from me with a serious face and tired eyes. He didn't beat around the bush. He just said, "Doc, I'm not me anymore. I don't feel any desire to be close to my wife. I'm not confident like I used to be. I'm up 3 or 4 times a night to pee, and I wake up exhausted, and every time I try to be intimate, nothing happens." This is not unusual in my clinic. So many men in their 60s and 70s think it's just over, that the days of natural erections, desire, and physical connection with their wives are just a memory. But the hardest part is that feeling of lost manhood, of no longer being the man they once took pride in being. I didn't hand John a prescription for an erection pill on the spot. I didn't promise him that popping one would make him 20 again. Instead, I looked him in the eye and said, "John, your problem isn't just age, it's circulation, especially those tiny blood vessels feeding your pelvic region. Its hormones are dwindling because you're not giving them the signal to produce. It's the morning habits, quietly killing your manhood, one day at a time." I taught him the same 3-step morning routine I've just shared with you. Drink 2 glasses of warm water first thing, move gently for a few minutes, then eat a smart breakfast with eggs, berries, and zinc-rich seeds. He was skeptical, but I told him, "Give me 4 weeks. Don't think of it as a trick. Treat it as a ritual, a declaration that you're a man who still wants to live fully." 3 weeks later, he was back at my door, smiling with a mix of disbelief and embarrassment. He said, "Doc, I can't believe it. I'm sleeping straight through most nights, only getting up once. I wake up without that dead tired feeling, and that other thing, I can do it without even thinking about pills. My wife is looking at me differently." I just smiled and said, "That's not magic. That's physiology. That's your body responding when you finally treat it the right way." John's story isn't rare. I've seen hundreds of men just like him, men who thought they'd retired from desire and ability, find their confidence, their masculinity, their joy again, just by committing to 3 intentional minutes every single morning. I know it's not easy to sit and listen to a doctor talk about something this personal, and I know that at 60, 70, or even older, many of us have quietly told ourselves, well, at this age, what's left? But I'm here today speaking to you, not just as a doctor, but as a man who's listened to thousands of stories just like yours, to remind you that you are not finished. You have not lost your worth. Aging is not a death sentence for your intimate life. It's simply a reminder that your body needs to be treated differently, smarter, with more respect. When you take just 3 minutes every morning to drink warm water, move gently, and eat the right breakfast, you're not just caring for your blood vessels, your hormones, or your erection. You're telling yourself, "I'm still alive. I still want to love. I still want to be loved." You're investing in those warm moments with your partner, in that look in her eyes that sees not an old, frail man, but the man who once made her heart race. And if you don't have anyone beside you right now, do it for yourself. So you can wake up in the morning without that tired, defeated sigh. So you can smile, knowing there's still strength in you, still potential, still the desire to live fully. I've seen too many men who thought their time was over, only to be amazed when their bodies responded to small, consistent changes. Don't wait another day to start. Being 60 or 70 is not the end. It's a new chapter, one where you have the right to rewrite your own story. If anything I've said here resonates with you, give yourself that chance. And if you want to keep getting real, science-backed, and hopeful advice like this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. So that whenever you need a reminder that you're still worthy, I'll be here, ready to walk this path with you. Because you don't just deserve to live longer, you deserve to live happily, healthily, and with all the manly pride you once held dear.